Hello everyone, Dr. Shabazz here, and I'm going to be going over the quiz, and it is an exercise in preparation for tomorrow's exam. You all submitted these Sunday before midnight. You had the weekend to do the problems, and I've had a chance to look at some of them, and they look pretty good. As it is with many of these types of problems, there will be some matter of error with respect to rounding. And so you want to make sure that you maintain all of your digits until the very end. But that being said, let's get right into it. This is currency A, currency quiz A. And we have a situation where you are in Germany and you're going to the United Kingdom. Or let's just say you're going to England. And you have on hand 75,000 euros. You are going to conduct some kind of business, and this is the amount you have, and you're trying to figure out how much are these euros worth in England. And so for any currency problem, you need to have an exchange rate. And all exchange rates have a 1 in them. As for simplicity, you have the 1. The 1 is the base currency, and you want to find out how much one of that unit currency is equal to in the other country. If you know how much 1 is, then you know how much 2 are, you know how much 3 are, you know how much 1,000 are, you know how much 75,000 are. It's just a multiple. So I gave you a chart. This chart here you had to use in order to come up with the common denominator. On this chart, the common denominator is the US dollar. This is a dollar denominated chart. Now on the X-Rates site, you can use have other currencies as the base in terms of the table. For this one, it is the US dollar. So in this column here, and you go all the way down, everything in this column is equal to $1. So that is going to be the common denominator for both the euro and the pound. And so if we look at this problem, I have taken the dollar equivalent of the euro and the dollar equivalent of the pound. So both of these quotes are equal to $1. 0.88194 euro is equal to $1. 0.734611 pounds is equal to $1. So if both of these quotes are equal to $1, then they're equal to each other. So now that serves as the basis of finding the ratio between the euro and the pound. Now on the exam, you will be given your quotes in most cases. In some cases, I will have you to figure out the exchange rate, but in most cases, you will already have the quote given to you, and all you would need to do is convert it. So what we want to know, whenever you're traveling from a destination, you want to know the exchange rate. You want to know how much one unit of your currency is equal to in the target currency. So what you have here is how much is 1 euro worth in England. So one way to look at this is you can do a cross multiplication, divide both sides by 0.881924, which would mean this becomes a 1, and this is 0.734611 over 0.881924. And I had mentioned in one of the posts that essentially this is going to be 2 over from, 2 divided by from. So 2 is in the numerator divided by from, which is this quote. So if you do the math, and let's say we go ahead and pull out our calculator. If you had to do this on the exam, you would put 0.734611 divided by 0.881924 equals 0.832964, etc., etc. So this is how much €1 is equal in pounds. It's equal to 0.8329, etc. pounds. So if you know how much €1 is equal to, which is this number, then you know how much 75,000 are equal to, because it becomes a multiple. So what we have here in the answer is 62,472.30486. But you round up to 4 decimal places, this becomes a 9. So 75,000 euros are equal to 62,472.3049 pounds. So that's the answer to the first one. All the other ones are the same. And I'll dispense with the repeating all of the different calculations, but I will make note of this third one here. Now, as you notice, we have the dollar, and we're leaving the United States with $2,750 in our pocket, and we want to know how much that is in the Swiss franc. And so essentially, what we do is we have to find how much a dollar is worth in terms of Swiss francs. So then we have to go ahead and get the currency chart once again. So we look at the currency chart, pull the currency chart up again, and we look at how much $1 is equal to in Switzerland. And we find that $1 is equal to 0.916717. So if we know how much the $1 is equal to, we know how much we have for 2750. So let's do the math. So that is essentially .916717. And you put all of the numbers in as far as they go, and you just multiply it by 2750, and that gives you the amount, 2,520.7918, and we round to the fourth. So that's pretty straightforward to do. For currency B, currency chart B, you're going to have the same situation except it is in reverse. So in this situation, you're going from England to Germany. It is the 2 over from again. So we're going to, this is the dollar equivalent, 0.881924 divided by 0.734611 equals 1.20053, etc. If you know how much £1 is equal to in euro, you know how much 75,000 are equal to. It is just a multiple times 75,000. Notice how I left this number in here. I didn't round off, and you need your calculator to show all the digits as far out as it can go. Don't have your calculator rounding because you're going to get a rounding error. And so we just multiply it and see that we are due 90,039 euros, 0.8986. And that can be rounded to 7. And then the others are also the same, follow the same formula. For this one here, the Japanese yen, you're going from Japan to the United States. And you want to know how much your yen are equal to, your 45,000 yen are equal to in the United States. So just like before, 2 over from, so that is actually 1 divided by 114.869798 equals. So this is how much 1 yen is equal to in dollars. And if you actually wanted to check that, find the currency chart, and we look for Japanese yen, and this is the amount, and it coincides with our calculation here, as you can see. All right. So saying that, we look at the outcome, and then we multiply it by 45,000. And we get 391.7479, rounding up to the 4th significant digit. All right. So that's the first block. That's the first block of questions. The second block of questions going down, this is just asking whether a currency has appreciated or depreciated. And these were pretty straightforward, but as I said in class many times, it is a process of thinking. There's a way to think about this. You're not just looking at this number versus this number, because obviously, if you look at the quantities of Jamaican dollars from November to December, this has gone down. So you would think that, okay, that has depreciated because the number has gone down. That is not the way you look at this quote. The way you look at this quote is comparing not the Jamaican dollars with each other, but you're comparing its relation to the dollar in both periods. So you're comparing this quote with the dollar versus this quote. And the logic is, in November, your dollar buys 153 Jamaican dollars. In December, your dollar buys less Jamaican dollars. So that's bad for the American, right? Using dollars. And since these are inversely related, if the dollar depreciated, then that means the Jamaican dollar appreciated. And how do we think through this? Well, if you're Jamaican and you want to buy a dollar in November, it costs you 153 Jamaican. That next month, if you wanted to buy a dollar, it costs you only 150. So that is better for you a month later. Thus, the Jamaican dollar appreciated. And it is the same logic for the rest of them. In fact, in all cases, they have all appreciated. If I have a situation where I make this, and you have to watch closely, if I make this US, then obviously this is depreciated. So you'll have to be able to think through this. For the matching codes, all you needed to do was find an ISO code chart for currencies. You could have used any one of them and look for the code, the AOA, that is the Kwanzaa, the KGS, and just go further down and you just search them out. That is the Kyrgyzstan Som, the Jordanian Dollar is right here, the dinar. I said dollar, but the Jordanian dinar. There are a lot of dinars in the Middle East. The Swiss franc. They have the Swiss franc here, CHF. The Mexican peso. So this is just getting you familiar with the codes in case you have to do something on your job. You'll be familiar with the codes, the chart, and how to use them. And so on the next set of problems, and these were the same on both quizzes. These countries were the same. Now for the currency pairs, these currency pairs were reversed. So in currency B, you had USD to IDR, and on A, you had IDR to USD. So let's look at this one first, and we are in need of the chart. So that chart, we look at the currency pair. The first entry is the 1. So you're looking at how much 1 Indonesian rupiah, because we have the currency code, is equal to in US dollars. So that means we'll have to pull out this chart again, and we look for Indonesian rupiah on the chart. And here we find it. We want to know how much 1 Indonesian rupiah is equal to in US dollars. Now note that this column here is how much $1 is equal to in Indonesian rupiah. This one is how much 1 rupiah is equal to in US dollars. And so we can see the answer here is 0.00070. And the reason you don't round is for obvious reasons here, because if you round to 2 decimal places, you would just have all zeros. And that quote would not be accurate at all. All of these significant digits are important, especially when you're dealing with currencies. So as you can see here, you have this number as the answer, and for the other version, it is simply the other column. So I pull this back, and you see that the Indonesian rupiah is here for the quiz B. So these are, again, inversely related. An actual trick, and you may even get an error, some kind of error for this. But let's say we wanted to just see how this works. We put this number in, and it's 0.7931. This tells us how much $1 is equal to an Indonesian rupiah. If we wanted to know how much one Indonesian rupiah is equal to in US dollars, we just hit the 1 over X button. That's the inverse. Now it's going to give a slight error, and what this is basically saying, this is an exponential number, this e minus 5. So this is saying you move the decimal place 5 places to the left, because it's a negative, this negative sign. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and put the decimal there. So you would have 4 zeros, and then this would be a 7 if you round. So this would be e to the negative 5th. You would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, period, and then put zeros. So that would be 4 leading zeros, 0.0000697, etc. That's how you read that. So this just kind of shows you the inverse, how the inverse works. You can just continue to use this to find the inverse. All right, so that's a very important shortcut to have. Some of the multiple choice, some of these were related to the video we saw, the Bretton Woods conference, where they showed footage of that creating of the IMF and World Bank. In this one, you had, we know how much $1 is equal to, so how much is 200? It's just a multiple, so that is just 200 times 0.67. That comes out to what? 200 times 0.67 equals 134, right? That's how much we should have received, but we got 132. So we got 2 euros less than expected. That is the trick there. You had to be attentive. For the next one, this is something that you're familiar with, or you may be familiar with from high school or wherever you learned it, the whole percentage question. For example, if you have a $20 shirt and there is a sale for $16, it goes down to $16, what percentage discount is that? So the way to figure that out is the formula is new minus old over old. So that would be what? The new price is 16, and then that's minus 20, right? Divided by 20. So you have new minus old. The new price is 16. Minus old, the old price is 20. You divide that by the old price, which is 20. So what this is saying is you have a 20% discount. A 20% discount. Or 1/5. 20% discount on that $20 item. For the next problem, it's pretty much the same as the others. You're in Japan, you have an $8,000 meal. Now, when you were in the US, this same meal costs $50, right? $50. So, given the exchange rate is 1 to 110. Now, you can do this a couple of different ways. You can just calculate how much $50 is equal to in yen. So that's pretty easy. 50, we know how much 1 is equal to, so we know how much, we should know how much, or we know how much $1 is equal to, so how much are 50 equal to? So that's just 110. 50 multiplied by 110, it's just 5,500. And you can compare this to the 8,000. So in the US, you paid the equivalent of 5,500 yen. In Japan, you paid the equivalent of 8,000. So right then and there, you know that the meal was cheaper in the US. There's another way you could have done it. You could have simply looked at 8,000 and divide that by 110. This shows you how much 8,000 is worth in US dollars. And as you can see, $72.72 is a lot more than $50. So the meal costs $50. This is the equivalent of 8,000 yen in dollars. So you could have done that a couple different ways. Here's the inverse again. We find a currency quote that $1 is equal to 49 dolasis, Gambian dolasis. So how do we find out how much 1 dolasi is equal to? Again, you hit the inverse. So you hit the inverse, the 1 over x button, which means that is 1 over 49, or you divide 1 by 49, which is the same as the 1 over x button, and that would be 0.20 or 0.0204. Okay, so let's do the last one, the plane ticket problem. Majid is a British student planning to book a flight during winter break between Chicago and France. He has 700 US dollars, but the flight costs 590 euros via Air France. He looks at the chart and notices 2 quotes. Can he afford to book the flight? Okay, this is not really practical because nowadays you'll just get your cell phone out, you'll pull up an app, and you'll do the conversion very, very easily. But this gives you a chance to know how currencies relate to each other, and the dynamics of currency conversion. So you have 2 quotes here, and they're both pound. The pound is the base quote. So you have 1 pound equals $1.37, 1 pound equals 1.17 euros. So if these currency quotes are true, then that means $1.37 are equal to 1.17 euros. I believe that's the transitive property. So now let's go back down to the problem. How do we put those quotes to use? 700, you can convert $700 to pounds first because you have a quote here. And the rate is $1.37 equals to pounds. You're going to pounds. You're converting dollars to pounds first. So that's 2 over from. Your pound is the base. So whatever the 1 is going to be the base. That's going to be what you use as the base currency. So 1 pound is equal to 1, and 1 pound is equal to 1.37. So 2 over from, that's 1 over 1.37. You pull out the calculator, and you have 1 divided by 1.37 equals 0.7299 etc. This is how much $1 is equal to in pounds. If you know how much $1 is equal to, you know how much 700 are equal to. And that gives you 510.94 pounds. That's the first step. Now you have to find out how much 510.9489 pounds are in euros. You have another quote here. If you know how much 1 pound is equal to, you know how much 100, you know how much 510 are equal to. So all you do here is with 510 pounds, you multiply by 1.17 and you get 597 euros. So 510 pounds, let me just minimize this, 510 pounds, well, 510.9489 pounds are equal to 597.8102 euros. So does Majid have enough to purchase the ticket? He does. Another way you could have done it was to use the cross rate, was to use the pound as the vehicle currency, and to discover how much $1 is equal to in euros. So the way to do that is to use the pound as the vehicle currency, and you're going 2 euros, right, from dollars. So if you go on 2 euros, 2 is at the top, 1.17 over 1.37. What does this tell you? This tells you how many euros you get for $1. So, looking at that, 1.17 divided by 1.37 is equal to 0.854014, etc. That tells you how much $1 is equal to in euros. If you know how much $1 is equal to, you know how much 700 are equal to. It's the same number. So you could have done it both ways and gotten the same result. Now for currency quiz B, you have a different set of numbers. So let's look at currency B. What has changed? Well, the quotes have changed. And as you can see here, the dollar is weaker in this quote, right? Since the pound is much stronger than before, that means the dollar is weaker. So that's going to play a role into whether I have enough. It's the same 590 euro ticket. If we look at the numbers in both methods, we see the $700 in this case is only worth 460 pounds, whereas before it was 510. You convert that amount into euros and it gives you 534, which is not enough to buy the ticket. Using the cross rate method, the same numbers, you're trying to find out how much $1 is equal to in euros. Using the cross rate method, these are both equivalencies to 1 pound, which is in this case the vehicle currency. Again, he has 2 pound quotes. So we're using this information to determine the ratio between the dollar and the euro. And you essentially just do the division. So that's 1.16 over 1.52. This is how much $1 is equal to in euros, 0.7631, etc. If you know how much 1 is equal to, you know how much 700 are equal to, and you get 534. You get the same number, which means that Majid does not have enough to purchase the ticket. And so that's it. It's the exam will be slightly different because it'll be multiple choice. You won't actually be filling in these boxes. The answers will be before you, so all you will need is a calculator and a pencil, and then you'll be able to access the answers after you have calculated them. So that's going to do it, and hopefully this was helpful. The exam will be chapters 4 through 7. The other chapters 5, 6, and 7, you will not need a calculator. You want to make sure you familiarize yourself with the material. I have posted a guide. So if you go to Canvas, you will find this post. And you will also need to familiarize yourself with the information for chapter 4. It's not just calculating, you will also need to know some of this information. And I have a video recording of class where I was going through chapter 4 and doing the currency conversions. This is chapter 5. I have videos for many of these, so you want to take a look. I don't have the one that we watched in class. That would be on a different page. So if we go back, we will see this post here on the 20th where I embedded these videos. And it was this video that we watched in class on foreign currency exchange. So if you need to look at that again, you can. I think it would be helpful. They have some very useful information toward the end
where the market was,
where it's talking about long-term and short-term effects of currency rates. Then they have terminologies like the spot exchange rate, the forward exchange rate, currency swap, and long-term effects, long-term factors affecting currency rates. Here you have growth of money supply, inflation rates, and interest rates. Short-term is transportation costs, trade barriers, such as what we talked about, non-tariff and tariff barriers. Psychological factors such as bandwagon effects, which means if you have traders making these trades, there might be a tendency for other traders to follow because they trust that that trader has some accurate information, and so they may react to other traders. So you may want to look at this if you want to feel more confident. So that is it. Tomorrow we will take the exam in class. All you will need is a calculator and a pencil. That's all. Everything else will be provided. You can use the exam that I passed to you as scratch paper. You don't need anything else. You cannot use your cell phones because your cell phones have apps. You won't be able to use any slides on Canvas. Again, all you need is your calculator, your pencil, and what's up here, and I think you will do well. Okay, that will do it. If you have any questions, make sure you send me a Canvas message, an email, and good luck, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.